Hi guys, this is for those of you that want to push yourselves a little bit. Maybe you tried number 5 and 6. Those were optional questions from homework number 4. So one of them is dealing with investments. And so this investor Jack, he's investing $6,000, and so he wants to split that money up so that he invests a certain amount in T notes, which were 8%, and then another amount in bonds that it will give him 10%. And we wanted to find out how many of each does he need to invest to earn $550. And just like all questions, the first thing to do is to read the question, make sure they understand the question, and then let's state what the variables are. So right away, if you look at the question, it says how much was invested in each. So we need to, those are the variables. How much? So how much is invested in T notes? So we could say let T be amount in T notes, and then we're going to say the same, but let B be the amount in bonds. Okay? Now we know that the total amount invested is 6,000. So if we invest a certain amount of T and a certain amount B together, it will be 6,000. So our first equation is T plus B is equal to 6,000. Okay? And then whatever we invest in T amount is going to give us 8%. Now, if we think about what is 8%, 8 out of 100 is 0.08. So 8% of T, that's a multiplication, plus, and then the amount that we invest in bonds is going to give us 10%. So 0.1, that's 10%, times B is equal to 550. So here we have our systems of equations. And whenever we see variables that have a coefficient of 1, it's going to be really easy to use substitution. Of course, we could use elimination, but let's try to do what's most efficient. So if I isolate, I can isolate B or T. It doesn't really matter. And then I can go ahead and substitute afterwards. So I'm just going to isolate B. So B is equal to, okay, so to isolate B, I need to subtract T from both sides here. So B is equal to 6,000 minus T. Okay, so if I know that B is equal to 6,000 minus T, I can substitute, that's what B is equal to. So I can substitute 6,000 minus T for B here. And then we will have only one variable. Let's go ahead and do that. So 0.08T plus 0.1, and I'm going to substitute for B, 6,000 minus T is equal to 550. And now we can see that we just have one variable to solve here. Okay, so let's continue. So 0.08T plus, now 10% of 6,000 is going to give me, so 0.1 is 600 minus 0.1T is equal to 550. And now we're just going to combine the like terms. So if I combine 0.08T and then subtract 0.1T, I end up with negative 0.02T is equal to, and if I subtract 600 from both sides, I end up with negative 50. Okay? And then if I go ahead and divide, and you could use your calculators here, T, I divide by negative 0.02, and I'm going to get, okay, so if we divide by negative 0.02 to both sides, we're going to get 2,500. Okay? And then pretty easy at that point. So to find B, we can go back to the most basic equation here. B is equal to 6,000 minus 2,500. So B is equal to 3,500. So the amount invested in bonds is $3,500, and the amount invested in T-notes would be $2,500. Let's take a look at number 6. Number 6 is actually very similar in terms of strategy to solve as the financial question, but we're looking at rather, because we're dealing with percents here. So the chemist wants to combine a 20% solution of alcohol with a 60% solution. So when he combines those, obviously it's going to get the solution is going to get lower than 60% because we're combining with a 20%. And he wants to end up with 200 milliliters at 45% solution. So how are we going to do that? How much do we need of each mixture? Okay, so let's just call the first one X, the 20%, and so let X be amount of 20%, and let Y be the amount at 60%. Okay, and we know that the total amount that we need to add together is going to be, it says 200 mLs. Okay, so the amount of X and the amount of Y is going to be a total of 200. So X plus Y equals 200. Okay, notice how that's very similar to the financial question. And then whatever amount we put in X, it's going to be at a 20% alcohol. So 0.2X, right, 20% of X, plus 60%, so 0.6Y, it must equal, well, we want 200 at 45%, so 0.45 times 200 mLs. Okay, so we could do some basic calculations here. So let's just get that down to a numerical value, simplified here. So 0.45 times 200 is going to give us 90. So we can rewrite that equation out. So we have X plus Y equals 200, and 0.2X plus 0.6Y equals 90. Okay? Now again, substitution is probably going to be our best choice, because if we go to isolate one of these variables, it's going to be really simple. Okay? So again, this time I'll isolate X. So X is going to, if we need to subtract Y to both sides, so X is equal to 200 minus Y. Okay? And if I know that X is 200 minus Y, I can substitute for X here. I can put 200 minus Y there rather than X. And that'll leave us with one variable to solve. So 0.2 times, we said X is 200 minus Y, plus 0.6Y equals 90. And now let's just go ahead and just expand. So 0.2 times 200 is 40, minus 0.2Y plus 0.6Y equals 90. And we can combine the like terms. We have 0.4Y equals, I have to subtract 40 there, equals 50. So Y is equal to 125. Okay? So that Y represented the amount that we of 60% alcohol that needs to be mixed in there. So going back to X equals 200 minus 125, which gives us 75 ml. Okay? So that means that we need 125 mLs at 60% and another 75 mLs at what was it, 20%. And that will give us our mixture that we're looking for